Good morning, everybody. You know, we've had a lot of talk over the last few years about our industry, freight, your passion, trucks, trailers, terminals, some of the things that you get excited about. And, you know, today I'm not going to do that. Today I'm going to talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart, and it's about our families and about our support groups. You know, if we've talked about before, we participate in a very difficult industry, and y'all, especially our driving force, has an extremely difficult job. I've never done your job before, so it's hard for me to truly empathize. I can sympathize, but it's truly hard for me to empathize exactly what you go through each day. I have a lot of friends that do your job, and a lot of y'all that are seeing this right now are my good and close friends, and I hear on a regular basis the complications that you have. One of the big ones, though, is how do I interact with my family? I'm gone for long periods of time. Joy, it can be extremely difficult, especially those of you who have those young families at home that are just starting your family together, and the pull and push pressure of being at home, need your support, are you available when I need you right now? And I can't imagine. I travel, but I don't travel near as much as a lot of you do. And I have those challenges myself. And so, but I'm not gone near as much. And so what we've thought about doing today is we've brought in Julie Baumgardner. She's the president and CEO of First Things First, which is a leading organization across America regarding interactions with relationships, whether it's husband, wives, and families, and things like that. And so we thought about spending a little time with Julie this morning about what are some of her observations as she interacts sometimes with a lot of y'all, driving community as well as families. What are a couple of things that she would actually challenge us on as we're thinking about, as you and I travel a lot with our families, how do we do that? How do we keep our families first, if you will, in our lives? So Julie, thank you for being here with us this morning.
My pleasure.
And I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Julie and I have just met. I've heard a ton about her over the years. We've never had a chance to cross paths, and so appreciate you being with us this morning.
Absolutely.
So as you think about this, and in your job and in your interactions with people, especially a lot of our professional truck drivers, what would you say are a couple of things that you would kind of challenge us on and get us thinking about in our families?
Well, I think a couple of things that people have actually talked to us about in our classes, and I'm talking long haul truckers and others who they feel like they parent from a distance and they're married from a distance. The first thing that I would say is communication. Yeah. And everybody hears that and rolls their eyes. Right. But the reality is, a lot of times we have these unspoken expectations about how things are going to go, and that seems to be the deal that gets us into trouble every time.
I understand.
And so we've all been there. So if we can actually, before you head out on the road, so maybe you have been doing this for a while, but this has been something that has tripped you up. Before you head out again, actually having a conversation about how do we stay connected, because that's the big deal for people. When people feel disconnected, they start feeling stress and tension. They make assumptions about that tone of voice and what you're thinking and how things are going to be when I get home, which just creates a volcano ready to erupt when you walk through the door.
Right.
So being able to have a conversation about how do we stay connected? How do we make sure that we talk at least once a day?
Absolutely.
And the marriage, this is the other thing that I think is pivotal. Marriage comes before the kids.
Yes.
So a lot of times,
Amen.
you know, you call and, everybody wants to talk.
Right.
But the reality is you've got to connect with your spouse first and then your children. And while that may seem counter the culture of children come first and then the marriage, the reality is children feel such a sense of security when they know that their parents are doing well.
That's right.
So creating this way of staying connected, and there's lots of ways to do that, and it does take some effort, but even leaving stick-it notes, taking a video and hiding it and having it come out later, calling when you can, having discussions about what's going on so that you're in the loop and not out of the loop. The communication piece is huge. We all thrive on consistency, routine, rituals, and structure. And that looks different for every single family. But when you can actually lay that out and say, this is who we are, this is how we operate. I'm gone for 3 or 4 weeks, 6 weeks, but this is how we roll. Big difference.
You know, it's my family, as my children were growing up, my wife, I always tried to make it a point to be available.
Yeah.
Now, if we keep it simple like that, to be available. So I still have a little 11-year-old, and we have children out of the house, and so my wife, my children know Dad's available 24/7, wherever in the world he is.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
a lot of our professional drivers are driving, so we have a big issue of concentrating and
For
getting the
sure.
job done. But when they know that they're needed at home, be available and respond. And
Yeah.
there's nothing more important to just being available. So, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because I think sometimes our children, I know mine, they hit me at the door. I see that. They hit me at the door
Right.
back in the day, and you know, I see my wife cowed down over in a corner, beat up by the boys, and I can tell. And
Yes.
she's got to know she's first.
She's first.
Frankly.
Yes.
She's first.
Definitely.
Guys, I'll get to you in a minute. I got to take care of your mom first.
Which sends a great
Yeah.
relationship message
That's right.
to the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're teaching them how to do relationship.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
What's your second one? What'd you say?
The second one is how you re-engage when you come home. And this is what I hear over and over again from people. I'm gone. My spouse gets in a routine with the kids. I come in and I feel like the odd person out. They've got their deal going, and they just basically look at me and say, "Don't mess it up." And that, you know, that makes a person feel like I don't belong. And everybody wants to belong. Nobody wants to feel like, oh, you're the problem.
That's right.
So having a conversation about what does reconnection look like. And I can tell you from a lot of people that I've spoken to, they will say the key to us thriving has been knowing that straight out of the gates, the first thing that's going to happen is that we are going to spend time together as spouses. And the kids will come next, but we're going to reconnect. And that's not the time to dump all of the issues that have gone on for the last 6 weeks on the table. It's really a time of let's just reconnect. I had a friend, and she said, you know, for the first several times out and back, it was kind of like a honeymoon, and then not so much.
Yeah.
So instead of just assuming how that's going to happen, really deciding this is how we're going to make this work for us versus making it be a problem where it feels like I'm coming in and I'm just sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. So sometimes my wife she's really worked up about some things.
Yeah.
And it's been a long day, and when the guys were little and they were wide open, and it's just right when I come in the door, if I'd been gone for a while, and it's like, I'm not ready.
Right.
So it kind of goes back to that being available even while you're gone.
Yeah.
You kind of get through the top things, I call it, the real critical things, to where hopefully they're not waiting on you when you get to the door.
Exactly.
You have at least a baseline, you know, of conversation and communication to where you get in and, hey, you're just happy to be home. And, you know, but there's some things you got to handle together.
Well, and it goes back to that feeling connected.
Yeah.
If I call you and I have a conversation with you and I tell you, here's what's going on with Billy or little Emily, and I'm really struggling with this, together we can figure that out versus me just, the easy thing, which really isn't reality, but it feels like the easiest thing is just to handle this.
Oh, yeah.
But the reality is, if you can actually come together and make some decisions about how to do that, I think the other piece that's super important is figuring out what is your support system. Even if you don't have extended family close by, I have a lot of friends who have spouses who spend a fair amount of time on the road. And my constant question is, what do you need? And being able to deal with the pride, put it aside and say, this is what I need. I need help picking up the kids, or could I just drop them off at your house for a little bit so that I could have some time to myself, because I never get that. Understanding that taking care of yourself is not something you need to feel guilty about. It's actually a must. What you don't have, you can't pass on.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's hard. It's hard for all of us, and I know a lot of our professional drivers is exceptionally hard, and we really appreciate you and the time that you spend in our wonderful industry and profession, and hope you enjoyed a little time together. And Julie, we appreciate you spending some time together with us this morning, and I hope you have a great day. Y'all have a great day. Be safe out there, and we'll see you later.